another player that comes to mind is Dave Kaiton. Dave Kaiton seems like he's always using whatever speed of weights he can put a full motion on.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'd prefer a slower weight as opposed to a faster weight. Even though my style is aggressive, whenever I lag, I want it to just sit there. I want to push for my destination. I don't want it to float out.
Yeah.
So let's get started here. You see Jim just throwing a nice left cross. I'm surprised early in a game, I know both Mike and I, even though he stuck that weight right there, aren't throwing a right-hand blast at that. We're throwing a left cross. If we miss it, we miss it, but at least we have that left cross line now. Whenever you're just firing at weights with the hammer, you're not seeing a lot of that board. And so you see Jim over there throwing a left cross. He wants to get a feel for that. Can we all hit weights just right-handed, straight up the rail? Yes, but we want to see the lines in the board more than anything. So that is a shot that you will see a lot right there, that nice right-hand cross. So what that might tell me is that Mark does prefer his right over his left.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not extremely familiar with his game, but what those two shot selections right there showed me is that Mark would rather throw right-handed than left-handed.
You know, these guys have both won their fair share in different regions of the country, but this particular event, I'm not sure if they've been in this position or not, playing for the finals of the winners bracket and the biggest pro singles of the year.
I don't know. John said last match said he thinks Mark Gray, this is the furthest that he's winning this event. So see if he's stuck and rolled that to a deuce. That's what he's trying to do. If he doesn't, Mark will have a free lag here. But do we have a overview of that weight there? There we go. So it looks like a 1 there.
Jim Payne sticking that weight intentionally must not be familiar with this board.
Not only that, but this is
the
lagging in.
This is the lagging in.
You know, so he doesn't care about that stick there.
Man, we're going to need a call on our first frame. Looks like red rolled back, doesn't it?
Look.
Man, they're pretty close. First frame. Y'all don't understand how rare that is to have a dead heat on the first frame. Only 2 weights on the board.
And that is important that you just said that, Mike, because a line call can determine a dead heat. And if something is exactly the same in a frame, then the person that had the hammer that frame, which is Mark, if this is ruled just they are even, there's no clear with the T-square that one or the other is ahead, then it's a hammer switch. So it's 0-0 going back the other way. And I would say that is even more rare than having a line call is seeing a dead heat 0-0. So it looks like it is blue.
Thank you, Rob.
That guy's a magician with that T-square, huh? I'd have been there for a couple seconds, pushing a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. He just got up there and he got out.
Probably wasn't expecting to have to make a call this early in the match.
Yeah. See, short weights. And so what that tells me right there is that they're not sold that this is the lagging end, you know. And the reason why I say that is if it was, then there's no way that Jim would allow Mark to really be able to switch hammer here. So and if Mark was sold that this wasn't the lagging end, then he'd just be passing those weights and hope to get a free lag.
You know, would you agree? They're players that don't worry that much about hammer control on a particular end.
I agree.
You know, I think these are two of them. I think Dwayne Maxwell's another one.
Yeah. So you see Mark put a nice deuce in there.
As long as he keeps doing that, who cares if
Exactly.
it's harder to lag that way.
And with that said, you know, the weights are, you could also determine that. You know, some players' weights going one way could lag that way perfectly. They get there and they
Exactly,
sit.
good point.
And then another player's weights are a little faster, and all of a sudden the slow end is their friend as opposed to the other person's. But you do see Mark lag off right there.
You know,
So
actually, he threw that so hard that I'm not sure that he learned that does have a late release.
Yeah.
There is some action on this board. Either
There
one of
is.
these guys decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Which I don't know how much we'll see in this particular game. But we see Jim looking at this like, I want to go around it.
You know, that's his lag lane, right cross.
Yeah.
I mean, if he does decide to come around this way, it is a shot he's comfortable with.
There it is. He's coming.
Boy,
It's got
it's
to,
going to be good or gone.
yeah, I'd say got to sit. Yeah, it's that. It's a good shot. Great shot. Did it, I know you have a little better vantage point there. Is it kind of peeking out on the right side or not quite?
It's dead buried.
It is buried. This board does pull left to right quite a bit. So you'll see right here, it will get over
Look
there.
at that.
I mean,
that is perfection, isn't it?
that is what we call a finesse shot. I mean, that was lag speed, perfect line. Just, that's a great shot right there. It's a good stick right there by Jim. So now with that line that Mark just threw, if he throws that same, and he's switching up his shot, didn't he throw a span with that first weight?
He did.
So,
but I can tell you, Eddie, that right rail will continue to break. A finger shot or a span will hold its line for quite a while, almost to the deep emblem before it takes a late break.
Yeah, which is why I'm surprised that he didn't go ahead and throw that span and try to stick and roll that weight. You know, try to throw that same span. He just stuck that weight with. Go ahead and get in there. Now he sticks and rolls that weight right behind it.
He might have done it the first time out of necessity. I think Mark's more comfortable coming off the rail than shooting a finger shot.
So you
made that first one look easy, huh?
Yeah, and so that's
what
kind
put
of
the doubt in
surprises
your
me.
mind.
You know, why not just go ahead and let's throw that again? And so you had, I guess, two options there. That is definitely one of them. That's probably the option I'm taking, is trying to hit that combo. The other option is trying to get in behind that weight. You see Jim just put it in behind that weight. So let's go ahead and try to get in behind it. It's another option and try to get a deeper deuce 3 in there. Those are really the only two options there. Jim comes up short.
You know, there wasn't much separation between those two weights. When Mark shot the combo, we'd probably be trying to double stick that.
Yeah.
It's like Mark was happy with just getting them both off the board.
Which is, you know, does go back to if he does like his right hand more than his left, then go ahead and try to throw a right cross and double stick those weights instead of throwing a left up the rail. You know?
Actually, the whole frame was played from right to left. I'm kind of surprised he decided to shoot a left rail there.
Yeah. So just see
think Mark's going to play this frame pretty tight to the vest. Jim's not going to give much to look at and see if he can't figure this lag out.
Are both these players from, I know Jim is from Missouri, right?
Jim now resides in Missouri. He's originally from Nebraska.
Okay.
Mark's from Missouri. For years, Mark put on a tournament in Missouri, big singles tournament called the Kansas City Shootout.
I know Mark comes down here early and sets up boards with David Guyton, Kelly Cameron. Those are three of the best in the business as far as setting up boards. I mean, they have these boards playing really well, and to be able to set up 32 boards.
I'd have to say the best boards I ever played were the ones that we shot at the Kansas City Shootout back when Mark set them up.
That's what I heard.
Anytime Mark's involved, you know you're going to get a professional job.
I know he's been involved in Del City as well, correct?
Yes.
So that's really seeing right there that these two players know each other very, very well. Jim's putting something right in Mark's lane as far as how he likes to lag. He wants him to push a little right-hand span a little wider. But what that also shows is, again, they're not sold that this is a lag, that the end that they're coming to now is the lagging end, because there's no way that I'm leaving a weight on the board right there. I'm letting him go up 3-0 on the lagging end. 4-0 is not that important.
Mark looked somewhat baffled there that wasn't closer to staying on the board.
And then this play right here also says that he's not completely sold, unless he's really testing out the end of the board. But to put a go-around weight, he's wanting to create action. Creating action, you're putting yourself in a chance to possibly be lagging against 2. And if you're on the lagging end and you're only down 4-2, there's really no reason to put yourself in that spot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know John talked about this earlier. The rails here are a lot lower than a lot of the rails that we're used to playing. You know, shots like that, really, we don't tend to see those fall off very often.
Yeah, we don't.
That has a better chance of getting into that blue weight than it does falling off there in Texas for us.
Yes. You know, Mark may have thrown that not just to create action, but to see where the end is. I don't know if he's.
It's just, I mean, it's so short that I have a hard time.
I don't know how much he could learn from that.
Yeah, I have a hard time feeling like he really, really pushed for it. But he's also been lagging on the quicker end, a later release, so maybe he does feel like maybe the ends are the same. So, and now he sees what a drastic difference it is.
Jim does have a slower set of 16s, man. Those weights have had my number over the years.
So let's talk about this scenario here. I think that getting yourself out of trouble, you're trying to get right on top of this deep weight, knowing that you have the hammer, and the most you're doing is you're lagging against 2, right?
Yeah.
You get right on top of that deep weight, somewhere in between those first 2 weights, and Jim cannot shoot at it because he can't double stick it. And you're never lagging against 4 here, or 3, because Jim's just going to pass it up on the other side. So I know that right rail is a little tight, but I think you throw right rail with as much as it pulls towards
I
this
think
board.
you could stick that deep weight.
You could. No, you absolutely could. I'm saying, I mean, you can either get right on top of that or stick it. But again, if you stick it, now you're giving them a stick option to stick right back, and you're still lagging against 3. And now you're lagging against 4. And here you just kind of cut your losses, I think. You try to go into this next frame down 5-0 or up
4-1.
I mean, you're down 4-1, but you're not pushing for the end of the board.
Oh, that's coming in, isn't it? Might get to a deuce.
That's a big shot in this game right there, because regardless of right now these players really not knowing what the lagging end is, we do know that the lagging end is coming our way, and keeping the hammer there at 1-4, as much as you'd like to score 2 or 3 there, that was a crucial shot. Let's see if Jim can lag the other way, and if he can't, we may be coming right.
I believe he's going to be able to. I believe his weights over the course of this session are going to end up lagging better going that direction.
You think so? Okay.
Probably the slowest weights in this event. Left in this event, at least.
Looks like Josh Duddle and David Williams Jr. are playing a couple boards over on board 9. They both just split the first 2 games, so we're going to be going to a game 3 over there on that board. That is a huge match in this tournament right there. I mean, those 2 guys can really cause some damage once they get past that game. See Mark going ahead and trying to create some action here, which
kind of hung out on him. We were talking earlier about those loaded. Mark mentioned his weights were loaded.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not getting that late turn.
Right. You see Jim's just gonna just lag here.
See how fast those weights stop.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
We haven't seen weights stop like that so far throughout the course of this event, through all these broadcasts. Weights just getting there and just stopping.
Just barely moving, trickling off.
Jeez.
I think I need some of those.
Yeah. I needed some 2 rounds ago. So I think you're right here. Neither one of these guys feel like this is a hammer control board. This is just going to be straight shuffleboard from here on out. There's no hammer control. This is, let's try to fight myself out of a 6-1 hole. I don't care where I'm lagging to, where I'm lagging at. Let's see if I can get back into this with a couple lags. So it'll be some pretty straight shuffleboard unless somebody makes a mistake and create some action.
Yeah, they're going to play the style that got them here at this point.
Yeah. I would say I'd be willing to bet that in the pro side of it, there's not a player in here that's played Jim Payne more than Mark Gray, and there's probably not a player in here that's played Mark Gray more than Jim Payne.
I'd have to agree with that.
They know each other's styles. This isn't anything new to them. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. So
I tell you, Jim Payne early in this tournament looked dead in the water to Malin Nobles. Do you happen to watch any of that?
I heard that he gave up like the first, not gave up, but he was down the first 2 games like 9-3 or something like that.
Well, the 3rd game he was down 13-8, and I walked off and come back to find out that Jim pulled that out.
Yeah. So I'd expect Mark to go ahead and throw an emblem 1 here. Try to draw a stick, try to draw some action here from Jim.
And that's the spot that we've been talking about when you're trying to get somebody to stick away. If you know they're going to shoot their dominant hand, you want them to shoot it across the board. It's a
Exactly. You want them sticking that weight and rolling it out in the middle, so you're going to throw a sharp cross and hope that they do that.
Looks like Mark might have thrown that a little deeper than he wanted. Still not quite realizing how slippery it is on the end. I don't think Jim, we're going to see many right rails out of Jim down here. It's particularly with a holding rail.
You know, I called Jim's last game and mentioned that he really threw he'd rather throw a left-hand rail shot than a right cross, not knowing that he was dominant left-handed until you said that in the booth. And I was really wondering about that because there were some shots earlier in that game that really looked like right crosses were the shot to go, and he went ahead and threw that left rail shot. So it's good to know.
Might have rolled back.
Yeah, it's going to be a 1.
He's really not concerned at this point whether it sticks for a 1 or a light deuce. A lot of times, depending on where you are in the game, you go down and look at that to see if it will stick for a light deuce or not.
So we'll see if he can take a little bit off of. Oh, he's trying to drive it. There it is. But that's to Jim's left hand.
Yeah. Needed to drive that weight across the board.
You know, but the other thing about that is that's in a different spot. You know, the deeper weight is, the more board is going to break. So you may see a little break towards the inside of this that Jim hasn't seen because he's been sticking other weights. He definitely got that outside. And there's that break inside. Yeah. So that's the difference right there. Just that's the 8 inches between what you feel great sticking. All of a sudden you get a little further down that board, and that 8 inches, it starts to do something different, peels off of it, and you end up hitting and going with that weight. That's a huge shot right there in this game. I mean, 8-2. And now it's just 6-2. You get out of this frame, lagging a deuce at 6-4.
You know, a lot of players there are shooting at Jim's weight stick speed just to have something up that deep, you know, a deep 1-up.
And we talked about that, or I talked about that earlier. He's going to try to get into weights. He's going to try to drive.
Yeah. That's a shot he's comfortable with, though. He throws those weights on a line up the rails. Mark has a strong grip, has some strong hands. Blue collar man.
Working on all those boards. It's a great stick right there by Jim.
Jim does have one of the best left hands in the game. See, I don't think Mark quite realized yet. You know, coming up though, that's what Eddie commented on earlier is learning what those weights are doing coming across the board. Mark had shot several right-hand rails, chose to shoot several right-hand rails rather than left crosses. And now he's realizing that the right from that side cross will continue to break. The left wants to come back a little bit.
And I'd much rather miss that weight at 0-0 than at 6-2.
Absolutely.
And
that's a pretty good spot on the board.
You know, for me here, it's 6-2. again, I don't think they quite know this is a lagging in. I don't mind sticking that deep weight. I'm on 6'3".
Well, he let it
He
go.
shaved that weight,
It's coming
huh?
down. It's probably gone. Yeah.
You know, I think
See, that's what's getting a lot of people too. A lot of good players is from that end. It does travel slower, but and I don't think I've ever said late release this many times in one day, but that board does have a late release.
Yeah.
That's seen right there.
I'm sitting in a really. I mean, it's not great, but I'm happy with 6'3" going to the lagging in there. I know
Absolutely.
you, and you just saw a great line right there at your left hand. You know, all I need to do is I need to push it over a little more. It's
And unless there's a legitimate chance to steal something there, Jim sticks a weight in the wrong spot. You're just playing that frame straight up, trying to lag a deuce.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity here.
Something like that.
That weight will absolutely bury in there. I mean, it will bury in there.
I don't know if you noticed there, but Jim ended up sticking that weight right-handed. It's his offhand. He's going to take a little speed off, make sure he hits it first, and hopes not to stick it. Now he has the same opportunity that Mark just had.
And so he has two options here. He either gets in there or he covers up that hole. It looks like he's going to go ahead and try to get in there. He does a good job at both. He gets in there and covers up that hole. Some players might think that covering up that hole is getting way short on that, or then all of a sudden they create a bigger wall than they had before. This will pull.
Might be good.
This will pull a little bit. We saw Craig White throw a shot like this against David Williams Jr. earlier in the game, or earlier in the tournament. As much as this board fights from left to right, for some reason that shot right there, it doesn't quite start breaking as hard until it gets into that deeper deuce range, and then it starts to kind of peel back into the middle of the board. But you get it right in that spot, and it gets in a tough little spot. So what you also have to look at here is whenever you throw this right hand, if you think that it is going to break over that much,
I think
just going to go ahead.
Jim's trying to either block board, maybe
I
get
guess
a
so.
deuce past
Yeah, I
it.
guess he's just going to try to block board. He knows that it's a 1 down there.
It's a good shot. He's just playing the scoreboard here.
Yeah, and you see that Mark's left cross is blocked because of that short weight. So he either has to throw freehand or he has to throw that wide span that he has right now. He threw it. And it's going to dump.
I knew that was there. I dumped a freehand lag going that way. Similar spot.
So that shows, I mean, that's a big strategy right there that you just saw from Jim Payne. Instead of going in there and trying to hit his weight and get two working, he's going to say, you know what, leave that one there, make him lag something around everything else, and then he goes and he gets Mark to just score one there. So that's just plain strategy right there.
Yeah.
There's nothing else about it. That is experience. That's just the cerebral part of this game, being able to say, you know what, I'm going to cut my losses. He got a good shot at there, and we're going to go ahead and limit the damage here. And he threw a great shot. For me, I'm going in there trying to stick that weight in.
I was just going to say, for you and I, for some reason, I don't think either one of us are locking. Even though we agreed that was the right play.
That was the right shot. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm getting 4 working there. You know, and I'm probably hitting and going with the weight, and then he's lagging at 3. But I went in there and and I thought I got the shot that I wanted. So
It's kind of like blocking board rather than coming in there.
yeah,
I don't think you and I are very keen on blocking board.
yeah. Wow. Looks like Roger Holloway and Dwayne Maxwell are playing on the board next to Junior and Joshua Duddle, and Roger won the first game over there, so they will be going to the second game. I mean, they'll be going to the second game regardless of whether Roger or Dwayne won, but they're headed to the second game. So you talked about earlier, Mike, Jim Payne likes to lag right cross. Mark knows that, so wanted to do it right there, maybe trying to get a deuce in there. If he doesn't, at least he blocks up that lane, makes Jim lag freehand.
It's looking pretty good.
It does. And with those weights, it's going to sit, that's for sure.
We're not accustomed to weights sitting like that going either direction on that board. I'm sure he's had some offers on the table for those.
Yeah. So this weight won't be on, wow. Actually, it will be on the table. I mean, there's no way that I think either one of us are leaving this weight on the table because I'd imagine Mark's going to try to bump this weight.
That would be option 2. And I don't know about right cross. I think if you're going to pass that weight, you want to be up in the middle or maybe left cross.
And you want Jim throwing a left cross across the board. You don't want him throwing a left up the rail and just hammering away.
Being able to keep his speed up.
And as we say that, he hops it.
Like we said, these guys know each other.
So now Mark's got some options. You can bump this weight. You can throw a weight on the, right in the middle of the board.
I think he's going to bump it. He has a little Benny spin there. He might be trying to come around it the same way he just put that weight in there.
You'll see that this weight fades off of that weight, so he could be trying to bury it in that way. That's the same shot that he threw in their last frame.
Oh, gosh, it looks like it's coming in hot.
Won't stick that weight. It's going to fade off of it. Jim would love to stick this weight. You see him picking up his right hand. See how comfortable he is there. He has to really get that weight across. He got it way across and hopped it. It's
pretty much the same shot he just threw.
Well, he threw that same shot and hit the inside of it and went with it. So now he's trying to overcorrect it. He throws it outside. It ends up hopping on the outside. But yes, I mean, it's not much of a difference. I'd rather hit the inside of that weight and go with it than I would overcorrecting and hopping it.
How important was sticking that weight really at 11-3?
Not at all. And that's what I'm saying is you go in there and you throw that same shot that you just hit and went with it on the inside. You throw that same shot. If you stick it, you stick it. If you don't, you don't. And not to say that it's a monumental error by any means. I mean, it's 11-3. You know, 11-6 is.
Boy, does that not look in there to you?
It looks like it's closer to a 3 than it is a 2. I mean, honestly.
I mean, to a 1.
You know, yes, closer to a 3 than it is a 1. I mean, that
looks like
looks.
Jim just might wanted to take a load off here.
Jeez. I mean, there's no way that's close, is there? I know I was wrong last time, though, but I don't think that's. We'll see how fast.
It could be camera angle, Edward, but
yeah,
it looks like it's in a 1/4 inch.
It very well could. Yeah, Rob's looking over the top of it. No, he's
not
gone.
long.
He's
not
gone.
long.
He gone. He gone.
See if Kaitan could do it quicker than them.
And Kaitan, I will say, is one of the stingiest line callers. I feel like weights are 3s and 2s, and he'll call them 1s and 2s.
Rob's like, I have more. Whoa, I might have seen a 1 in there. What did they call it?
I couldn't see all 3 of them, but it's a deuce.
No, it's a 1. Look.
No way.
We need a better camera angle.
Jeez. These guys are making me look bad.
Eddie, there's the camera. It's over the deep emblem. we were looking back into the line.
So that's a 1 we can see right now coming in. Wow.
Wonder how much Mark's going to take away from this game. What do you think he's learned?
That's a good question.
He obviously knows it's faster going that way. He's thrown 3 or 4 weights off pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes you step away from a game and you feel like you just really didn't play well, and they played well enough to win, and you just go into the next one and battle. I don't think there's a huge strategy swing here, but I still think that now I will say this: if Mark can lag, if he flips a hammer and lags a 3 this way towards the end of this game, and all of a sudden says, you know what, this is lagging in, then he may be able to pull something off. But as of right now, he hasn't lagged either way really well. So, and Jim's lagged well both ways.
I'm going to stick to my guns and say Jim Payne is going to do most of his scoring going to that treacherous end.
Yeah.
It. Yeah, it's going to creep by it. I don't think it'll make. Oh.
I don't think it did.
You know, that's something about Jim's weights, is he always acts surprised when they come up short of 1s. He doesn't act surprised when they stop on the end of the board.
That did get.
See, once again, Eddie.
Hitting those weights?
Hitting those weights.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm passing. I'm trying to, and I'm throwing some pretty crazy shots here. you know, I'm throwing shots into the rail. I want to see some crazy angles.
Knowing that this game's got out of hand, you don't want to leave any rock unturned. You want to make sure you know every shot on this board.
Yeah. I mean, I'm throwing some shots that I might throw 1 out of 20 in a game, but I'm throwing that shot right now. I'm throwing little finger shots into the rail. I'm throwing free hands out to the rail. I'm looking at some really big breaks, something that I haven't seen in the game. This is a perfect time to be able to utilize that. And
there's nothing worse than playing the first game in a 2 out of 3 and still not knowing shots on a board.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you are quitting this game and you're just conceding and saying that, you know, you're losing. There's so much strategy in this game that you want to have the advantage going into game 2 and 3, and you want as much board knowledge as absolute possible. So it's not just saying, you know what, I quit, I'm just going to throw weights across the board. It's constantly checking stuff. It's looking at stuff that you may use in games 2 and 3. You may find yourself in game 3 in a really tight spot, and there's a really crazy free hand that you just found out in game 1 that you haven't used all of game 2, and all of a sudden it comes into effect game 3 and it is the game-winning shot. Well, to most people, that crazy shot that you threw in and it went off the board at 5-12, and it looked like you were just quitting, is that shot that you were checking there in game 1. I mean, it's...
Yes. You know, both these players would frustrate players like you and I.
Yeah, they'll lull you to sleep.
Lull you to sleep, man. Both really good players and know their games and know how to win, proven winners.
So right now, just for the live viewers, I know I've looked at my phone a couple of times. People are wondering what's happening over there in the losers bracket. Right now, Josh is leading Junior 10-9 in game 3 right now, just for y'all listening out there.
Josh is leading?
I'm sorry, Junior is up 10-9. I switched colors of weights. Junior is up 10-9. Looks like it's Josh's hammer from what we see over there. Looks like Mark's just going to fire up the rail and hit this weight. Man, that's a great rail shot. He may be trying to drive that to a deuce, and I don't know if there's another player in the country that's trying to drive that to a deuce from that rail spot. But
looks like Maxwell's off to a good start in the other losers bracket game. After dropping the first to Roger, he's up 3-0 in the second. Not sure whose hammer it is.
And Jim's just going to go ahead and put a nice deep weight down there. If he floats into a deuce, great, but 13-6. He's in complete control of this game. Another thing that you can start to think about at the end of this game is, I feel like 13-6, you know, you are out of this game. But where do I want the hammer starting next game?
Exactly. These are the kind of games where you can end the game where you want to if you play your cards right.
Exactly. I mean, having a pro player give up a 6-point frame here at 13-6 is probably not going to happen. And as I say that, he hops a weight. You know, So we'll see what Mark can get going here.
I was just handed a note here by the staff at North American Shuffleboard Championship that we want to give a shout out to Ryan Pearson. Buttercup, the staff misses you. There you go, Ryan Pearson. The staff misses you, buddy. We miss you too.
So back to this game. We got 13-6. Obviously, Jim's all over this game. He's going to just try to cover this way deep, make Mark hit a combo. If he scores, he scores, but there's nothing fancy about this frame by any means.
You remember who started with the hammer?
I want to say Mark lagged off with the first hammer. So I think Mark had the first hammer.
That's going to... I tell you what.
I believe
Mark has to realize it. It's going to be a long road to 15 this next game.
I believe
going
Mark
that
has
direction.
hammer.